Number 50, Anna Thorne. Number 52, Erin Travis. Number 55, Grace Feeder. Number 72, JJ Jarrett. Number 82, Claire Smith. Number 87, Austin Puka. And number 97, Eileen Beckett. And now, please welcome to the field your 2025 DC Shadow. Number 1, Ashley Gentile. Number 3, Sammy Smaller. Number 4, Ellen Miller. Number 7, Tammy Broom. Number 8, Kat Richardson. Number 9, Annalise Peters. Number 11, Ciara Romero Pinto. Number 13, Tyler Smith. Number 15, Julia Harris. Number 16, Mars Walker. Number 17, Maggie Pendleton. Number 19, Allie Wallace. Lizzie Lloyd.
Good evening from Washington,
Number
D.C.,
46,
where the D.C.
Graham
Shadow
Hill.
welcome in the Milwaukee Monarchs for
Number
the
66,
final week
Jackie
of
Wong.
the Premier Ultimate League regular season.
Number
Yoshinsky
77,
up in the booth
Marika
along with
Korpinen.
Asako Yamamoto.
Number
Asako,
81,
what are we looking forward
Sumi
to in
Onoe.
this regular season finale here at Carlini Field?
And number
On this
99,
beautiful
Emily
evening,
Kaiser.
we're looking forward to these teams finalizing the
now,
season with a
the
great
coaches for
game
tonight's
for us.
game.
Record-wise, competition
For the
record-wise, they're
Milwaukee
coming in
Monarchs,
from opposite
we have
directions. DC
head
Shadow
coach
with an
Caitlin
undefeated
Murphy.
5-0 season so far,
And assistant
and Milwaukee
coach Nick
losing
Wong.
some heartbreakers for an
For the
0-4
DC
record.
Shadow, we have head
But
coach
despite
Sean
that, I
Higgins,
think that this is going to be a
assistant coach David
very
Hill,
important game for both of them. DC
assistant
Shadows
coach
looking
Lane
to
Young,
perfect their game before the
assistant
playoffs.
coach
They're already
Zach
in the
Norton.
playoffs. They're looking to perfect their game, and
And now,
Monarchs is
before we
looking
begin,
for a
a
huge
lightning
upset to
announcement.
finish their game of their season.
Washington, D.C. is surrounded by just over a dozen tribal
DC
nations
looking to stay
and sits on the
undefeated,
ancestral
and
lands of the
Milwaukee
Nakache
looking for
or
that first
Anacostan
win. They are
people
certainly
and neighbors the ancestral lands of the
motivated to get that
Piscataway
first
and
win
Pamunkey peoples.
after coming short.
The original people on this
couple
land
times.
experienced the ravages brought on by the
And we will take a look
settler
at
colonial
some
introduction of
Key players
diseases,
from
forced removal,
either team
and the
heading
erasure
into
of
tonight's
traditions.
matchup.
The indigenous people who currently reside in the
Yes.
DC area
For
continue
DC
to
Shadow, we
present their
have
case for
Amanda
recognition
Murphy,
for the second
aka
community.
Beans.
We acknowledge and recognize
Beans is
that
one
we are
of
on
the
ancestral
engines,
lands
the
of
critical
many
engines
tribes
of the
who did
team,
not cede this land to
always
colonizers.
driving the offense with
And now,
really
with the captains
well-timed
of both
fast
teams,
cuts
please join today's head
and
referee for the flip.
providing a relief valve whenever
Assisting in
necessary.
this flip to determine
On
which team
defense,
holds first.
Beans is
Please
always
welcome to
hyping
the
up the
field
team with her
Leo
hustle
Dean
and
Fry from Alexandria
blocks.
City and Gwen Morris from School Without Walls. Let's give them a big hand.
Everybody loves Beans.
Amanda Murphy on the season, 8 goals, 9 assists, 8 secondary or hockey assists, and 5 blocks as well. So just all over the field, all over the stat sheet. And then on the other side for Milwaukee, it's all about Aaron Schrader. Schrader, the Plymouth, Minnesota native, has been all over the field for this Monarch team this year. Tied third on the team in goals, first in assists, tied second in hockey assists, second in blocks, first in touches, first in throwing yards, first in receiving yards. And they're number 52 because of their birthday on May 2nd. So happy belated birthday.
Happy
I guess it's been a
birthday.
while, but the roadway design engineer has been all over the field and is going to be a huge part of Milwaukee's chances to pull off the big upset today.
The
As
do-it-all player for them.
absolutely. I don't know how many players are first on their team in both throwing and receiving yards, but very impressive season so far for Schrader, looking to close it out strong here in DC.
And most likely their importance extends beyond the stat sheet.
So DC, unlike in past years, only 1 week between the regular season finale and championship weekend, so a little bit less of a buffer. But thankfully, DC, after their game last week in Austin, knew that they had clinched a spot in championship weekend, so they didn't have to, wait until the last week of the regular season. But we were talking to some of their coaches, and that is a factor, having that one less week,
yes,
right?
Less time to prepare. They also have some disruptions because of the Bowl game team going to London Invite and the U24 happening in Spain, so they're going to be losing some players for that. So I'm sure there's some adjustments that they're making in their minds in terms of strategy and lines.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Milwaukee, on the other hand, again, coming into this game with that 0-4 record, but 2 of those games, their most recent games, both 1-goal losses. They had a game earlier with New York, which was competitive for the most part before they lost by 5. So they've had a competitive season. Again, they're only playing 5 games, whereas most teams are playing 6. So this is their final regular season game, and we talked to their coaches. They're motivated to finish the season strong.
Very motivated. And 2 of those games were absolute heartbreakers for them. Team, I think, overall is playing very well. According to the coaches, they are hoping to really finish strong as a team. And they were talking about Dubs, the captain, number 99, broke her hand at the beginning of the season, but traveled to all the away tournament games and is there as a captain, hyping up the team and trying to bring everybody up.
Yeah, huge. Dubs, Dana Demert. It's very important for that for Milwaukee that they're in attendance for tonight's game. And I'll say, as I was walking around the stands, I saw some Demert jerseys as well. So it's not just Demert. So final home game of the 2025 season. The Shadow on the line in dark. And the Milwaukee Monarchs will be starting the game on defense in, it looks like, gray jerseys. Not something that you see every day.
Very light gray, though.
Yes. No. It's very clear, especially against the Shadow Dark. So opening pull is up, and it will be fielded by Kira Flores, the leading assister for this Shadow team, tied first in the league in assists and still missed a game. So who knows? So Shadow working up quickly. Pendleton close on the sideline. Now around to Smith. And all the way across to Ritzman as Milwaukee continues to play match defense on this first point. Ritzman gets it to Flores for a shallow upline cut.
We know that the Milwaukee team is trying very hard to play tight handler defense, which was very successful for them in the Surge game.
And a give and go there between Pendleton and Flores results in a Shadow goal. They hold to start the game here on Saturday night here in the nation's capital, 1-0 DC.
to Maggie.
Fans are excited.
Yeah, good showing here from the crowd. A good showing from some Monarch fans as well. I'm sure we'll talk about a specific Monarch, Claire Schmidt, who this is a homecoming for, as we take another look at this finishing goal there for the Shadow.
That's right. Shout out to Claire.
So that is Pendleton getting the goal. Her 7th goal of the season, a rookie season here for the Shadow. Been a great season for the Rally Stars so far. Racking up 7 goals, 3 assists, 3 hockey assists, and 4 blocks already on the year. So that was a 56-second hold for the Shadow. As they will pull for the first time tonight, we'll see the Monarch O-line here. So they center up to Schrader, as expected. Now far side to Schmidt. Down to the knees goes Shriver, but keeps possession. Schrader tried to get open in the middle, guarded closely by Graham Cunningham. Graham, that U24 member for the DC Shadow, as this puck goes up. And big defensive play there by Ellen Mueller, as the Monarchs' first possession results in a turn.
That probably went a little bit shorter than the throw intended, giving Mueller a good chance to get the block.
So this new Shadow D-line, as Lori shoots this one looking for Gentilette. That's been a dynamic duo so far this season.
Yes, winning formula.
And Gentilette, low backhand, looking for Amanda Murphy. Can't quite get there.
So close.
So Amanda Murphy coming up just short of that Gentilette backhand, as that would have punched in the break for DC, but instead Claire Schmidt picks it up and unleashes a flick hook. Looking deep, Gentilette's in the area. It was intended for Austin Pruka, but that sails out of bounds.
Some big shots coming left and right here.
And Milwaukee not afraid to throw it deep early in this one, as this one will come all the way back up about 8 yards out of the end zone. And now into the middle for Jackie Wong. And Graham Cunningham over to the sideline for Ellen Mueller, and that's the break for the DC Shadow, 2-0.
That's a DC Shadow break. Graham Cunningham to Ellen Mueller.
So fun fact, Graham and Claire used to play together. And now they're playing opposite each other in the PUL. It's very exciting.
Yes, I can say I played with them a little bit too.
That's right.
I went to the same high school here in the DC area. So it's very awesome to see.
DC producing some stars, including you, Theo.
So Ellen Mueller, captain of DC Rally, getting the goal there. So you see Zach Norbaum there on the right, another captain of Washington DC Rally, and a coach for the DC Shadow. A 2-0 DC, 8:49 left in this first quarter.
All right, Milwaukee's going to be looking for their first hold here.
And we're back live. It'll be Claire Schmidt again picking up the disc. This time looks like an unguarded player. That's JJ Jarek, but the miscommunication, and DC Shadow is off and running with the third unique line we've seen so far tonight. as Annalise Peters unleashes a huge backhand looking for Jordan Sorensen and just over her head. What a ambitious shot there from Peters. Sorensen unable to bring it in as the crowd continues to file in here on Saturday night at Carlini Field. Claire Schmidt back to pick up the disc, guarded by Cammie Groom. A lot of this Monarch team represented, not only in Milwaukee, but actually a lot from Chicago and Madison. A lot of noise players in the mixed division and nemesis players in the women's division in club. As Claire Schmidt sends this one around, caught by J.J. Jarek. And now the backhand is intercepted by Romero Pena, and Shadow are back going the other way with Cammie Groom. As this shot goes up for Sorensen, and this time it's brought in. For another DC Shadow break, that's 3-0 DC.
3-0 DC, another
DC
Shadow
offense,
break
very
brought
hard to
in by
stop
Sorensen.
once it starts moving.
And that was Lisa Dang on the assist there. Dang getting her 4th assist of the year, and Sorensen on the receiving end getting her 3rd goal of the year.
Bodes well for next year too.
It does. And we say rookies, but again,
Of course,
a
they're
lot of these are
veterans.
very
Yes.
experienced players that have
Yes.
played a lot of years of Ultimate.
Yes, indeed.
So
All right, Milwaukee coming with a different line now, I think, hoping to rebuild a little bit.
Yep, so on the far side now, shot goes up. That's Chelsea Tuig shooting it deep and over the outstretched hands of Gentilette and tossed into the end zone. That is Sydney French on the goal.
Score
After I believe it was Kylie
Number 12,
Chesner that
Sydney
came
French.
down with that huck. No, excuse me. It was French on the goal. And I believe Eileen Beckett on the assist there as Milwaukee is on the board. The Monarch D-line, seeing if they can get their first break of the Shadow. But again, the Shadow doing what they've done for pretty much all of their regular season and going with that kind of 3-line rotation, which should bode well. We mentioned the players that they're missing, but they've been doing this kind of strategy, and pretty much everyone has gotten a lot of looks
Yes.
for the Shadow so far, and that will probably bode well for their depth heading into the weekend. Next weekend.
There's some rally connection going on there.
Yeah, that's Smalling to Harris. And now Flores in the middle as the Shadow continue to move with pace. Wallace over to Smalling. Smalling into the end zone for Pendleton, and it's another goal for the DC Shadow and another rally connection. Pendleton bringing in her 2nd goal of the night so far, and the 4th for the DC Shadow.
The swing and the cut working very well for them. Very clean offense from DC Shadow.
You all this evening. I have some lovely posters that I will
When the
be
reset
handing
happens
out, but you have
quickly,
to earn
it's
this
very
in a
hard
way.
for the defense to
For
keep
those
up
who won't
on the
be
break
traveling
side.
the championship
Yeah, excellent
weekend with
pace
them,
there showed
you
by
can
the
easily
Shadow.
Follow them on the Premier Ultimate League YouTube
Using both
page.
sidelines
So if you can show me that you are subscribed
to their advantage.
to follow that,
We are just
I will give you a
over
lovely poster because we want to see that you
6
will be
minutes left
following
in the
this
first
game.
quarter.
So, pull out your
Been a
phones,
crazy
get on
day in the
YouTube
PUL so far.
real
This
quick,
one, the
and
nightcap.
find the Premier Ultimate
We've
League
had
and
some
subscribe
weather
to that
delays
channel.
across the league
While
and
you're there,
some
you'll
crazy
probably see
results.
that
It
we
was
are
started off
currently
today
live. If you can tag in
in
on that and
Philadelphia,
say,
where
"Oh my
the
God,
Indy
this is
Red
amazing, I'm here right
took down
now."
the Philadelphia Surge
Yes.
in a game that will likely, but not for certain, decide a spot in championship weekend. Again, Indy Red will play tomorrow in New York. And depending on the results of that and how the algorithm shakes down and the tiebreakers, we'll see if Indy Red did, in fact, punch their ticket earlier today.
That's very exciting development.
As Milwaukee back on offense here. Far side for Schrader.
Milwaukee also trying to use the whole width of the field.
J.J. Jarek unleashing this deep and well read there by the Shadow defense and Lisa Dang. As Groom has it on the far sideline up to Onoe. And now back to Groom. And we'll have a pick call possibly. I saw a brief hand signal, but nothing else. Looks like it will come in stalling 5. Groom guarded by Kat Chen, a Warren, New Jersey native, but now finds herself in the Midwest. As Peters up to Onoe. And Sumi Onoe shooting deep. Sorensen with acres of space and brings it in for her second goal
DC
of the
Shadow
night.
scores.
So open.
Big puck thrown by Sumi Onoe. Makes it 5-1.
DC goes up 5-1 here in the first quarter.
Could not be more open.
.446 now left in first quarter.
So Maggie Pendleton and Jordan Sorensen both with 2 goals.
.5-1 Shadow early in this one. And Milwaukee
Really don't want to let this start slipping away too soon. Looking for a hold.
up. Centering pass goes up to Lena Montenegro, a player that head coach Caitlin Murphy shouted out when we were talking with her earlier today, as Montenegro's inside backhand shot is a little too far for French.
It was a good idea. Just went a little further than it wanted.
But Montenegro, a native of Bogota, Colombia, but has been playing for the club team Chicago Nemesis.
Tenacious defender and a very strong defensive line handler.
Gentilette working with Jackie Wong, and just too far for the outstretched reach of Gentilette, who has been known to make some big plays throughout her entire career. And we saw a few of those in DC's dramatic win just 3 weeks ago against Raleigh. Unfortunately, Asako, you weren't able to be there
That's
in person
right.
for it, but
That's right. I missed it. Missed the excitement.
but it was quite the battle of that Premier Ultimate League Game of the Week back in Week 7. As Milwaukee now trying to hold for their second possession of this point. Madison Lang, a.k.a. PJ.
Looks like there might have been a pick call.
And it'll go back to PJ on the sideline here, guarded by Amanda Murphy. A bit clumped there for a second by the Monarchs. A lot of players close to the disc, but they get it back centered. And
Amanda
now
Murphy causing a little bit of disruption by staying in the lane.
high backhand. Finds the sideline for Tuig, and the
Oh,
hammer
it's the
goes up,
hammer.
and it comes back and falls perfectly into the hands of her intended target.
That was an important hold for them.
I believe that's Eileen Beckett bringing in the goal there. Beckett's third goal of the year, native of Albany, New York.
Second of this game, right?
I believe she had an assist.
Oh, she had an assist. Okay.
She brought in the huck and then tossed it in
Oh,
for an
right.
assist, and then this time
It was a hockey assist.
bringing
right.
in the goal. Yep. Beckett, head coach Caitlin Murphy was telling us that they call her Baguette sometimes. I'm sure some other things as well. But a great defender and been involved in the offense so far for the Monarchs.
Strong hold for them, considering they had to come back all the way 70 yards.
That brings the score to 5-2 in favor of DC. 2:35 left in the first quarter. And Claire Schmidt this time out on defense for the Monarchs. One of the biggest throwers in the division unleashes this pull. Smalling stops it, and up to Tyler Smith.
Looks like a sideline pull play.
And Smith unleashes a huck. Well read there by the Milwaukee defense. That's Sydney French coming down with the block. And a break chance here for the Monarchs. Schmidt's backhand misses one receiver, but finds the waiting hands of Cassie Duty. Duty up to Caitlin Duffner. As Milwaukee working it quickly now. Montenegro giving and going, but
Oh,
out of the
that's too bad.
hands of Cassie Duty. We should say Dr. Duty, as she got her doctorate just last year in 2024, and also rides a unicycle. So can really do it all. As DC is working it up, Sammy Smalling shooting to the end zone for Tyler Smith, and perfectly weighted for the DC Shadow hold. 6-2 DC.
Very nice, very nicely timed cut, and a very nice touch throw there into the end zone.
So the first Tyler Smith deep shot. If only the help didn't come, it would have been a pretty nice throw, but heads up defense there from Milwaukee. And DC regains their 4-goal lead with 1:21 left in the first quarter. Asaka, what have you been seeing so far from DC? What's working so far? How have they built this lead?
I think the quick movement, and once they get the turn, they have been pretty efficient. Not every break chance, but I would say percentage of converting the turn into a break point has been pretty high. They use the width of the field very well, making it very difficult for the Milwaukee defense, which has been pretty dogged. But if you swing it and use the width of the field, it's extremely hard to keep up.
And we haven't mentioned it yet, but I'd say pretty close to ideal conditions out there.
Yes.
There's essentially no wind. And you know, it was a little hot earlier today and pretty sticky, but I think since the sun has started to set, that's died down a little bit, and it's a pretty good day for throwers, I would say, out there.
Yes.
As Peters gets the D over Kat Chen.
I think the throw stayed in the air a little bit longer than the thrower intended, and as Peter came roaring in.
Peters to Dang, over to Onoe. Looks off Cammie Groom, who had about 15 yards going deep, but maybe a little too deep. And back to this side from Peters. And now Groom turns upfield. Dang on the sideline. Up to Onoe. Back to Dang. Shadow working patiently. 10 seconds left in the quarter, but as long as they maintain possession of the disc, they will get to finish out this possession, as a pick was called. And the clock hits 0, so this will be the final possession of the first quarter. It'll either be 6-2 or 7-2 in favor of DC.
Yes, as per PUL rules, as long as you maintain possession, there's no buzzer that stops action. So that's the score.
And there it is, Sorensen into the end zone for Groom, and that caps off a 7-point first quarter for the Shadow.
Strong showing for Shadow.
35 Jordan Sorensen to number 7 Cammie Groom.
Again, the windless conditions make it easier for those little bit curvy forehands to go into the end zone.
Are you loving the action on the field?
Absolutely, as Shadow celebrates their dominant first quarter,
Turn up the intensity.
building a 5-goal lead, 7-2, and we will have the second quarter right after this short break. This live broadcast is brought to you by the Premier Ultimate League. This live broadcast of the Premier Ultimate League is brought to you by Breakmark Ultimate Apparel. Go to breakmark.com to place your next custom team order or check out the PUL Athlete Collab shops. The Discraft Ultrastar is the official disc of the Premier Ultimate League. Discraft, the world leader in disc sports. This live broadcast is brought to you by the Premier Ultimate League. The PUL is a 501c6 nonprofit. This league has been community funded since day one, and we are so grateful for the support. We ask that you consider donating to help us continue to transform and fulfill our mission. Head to premierultimateleague.com to donate today. Back at Carlini Field after quarter one, Shadow with a 5-2 lead. Monarchs looking to get back into this one. Asako, thoughts after that first quarter?
I think the clean hold that the Monarchs had in that first quarter was exactly what assistant coach Nick DJ Huang had mentioned. Don't take difficult throws, use your legs, and open up the offense. And I think they successfully did that in that point, and so it's up to whether or not they can replicate that. They really have to use their legs to get open on these tenacious Shadow defenders.
Yeah, we were talking with the coaches of the Monarchs, Caitlin Murphy and Nick Huang, and they set that goal to limit the opportunities for the Shadow
on defense.
And they really noted that they have the same D-line handlers as they had in the Surge game, and they felt like that group was really working.
Effective, yes. They were very tight on the handlers, on the resets. They made the resets hard.
As Claire Schmidt's flick goes up deep, 4 players in the area, and oh my goodness, Schrader comes down with it. And Milwaukee scores in interesting fashion.
That was a little bit of magic right there.
So I believe the huck was intended for Schrader originally, and then it looked like Pruka had the best shot at getting it for Milwaukee, and then out of nowhere Schrader comes in and gets it.
It's just like in volleyball when you jump as if you're going to spike it, but then someone else goes to spike it. That's what they did right there. Amazing reflexes. She just kind of scooped it up.
So that assist will go down for Claire Schmidt, her 8th of the year. And we should shout out Claire Schmidt's mom, who is in town or is in here because Claire is from DC area. It's her mom's birthday.
Oh,
so happy
Holly!
birthday.
Happy birthday, Holly!
Claire spending a couple more days here than the rest of the team, naturally, as a homecoming, and gets on the board on the stat sheet there with an assist. And back to a 4-goal deficit. We'll see if the Monarchs can close that even further as we await the pull. Annika Vermaak.
She seems to be the designated puller for the team.
Yeah, gets a lot of height on this one and keeps it in bounds, so pretty nice pull there. As Smalling makes the upline cut, and Ritzman gets it. Has a diving attempt there.
Huge effort.
By Beckett. Looks like Monarchs turning up the pressure here a little bit. But Shadow not worried. Flores shoots to the end zone looking for Pendleton, and just off the hands.
That is defensive pressure happening right there.
Yeah, forced Flores to take a pretty tough shot up that, same quarter of the field.
Mm-hmm. And a little bit further than maybe she wanted because the defender was there.
As now a huck goes up for the Monarchs. 2 players in the area and just out of the reach.
Oh, so close.
As these teams are shooting both directions early in this one.
Not afraid to shoot.
As now DC Smalling. That pass floats too far, and the Monarchs will have it back for their second break chance of this point.
All right. If I'm the Monarch coach, I'm thinking, okay, take care of the disc.
When do you think about using a timeout on this break chance?
Perhaps that was the time. Perhaps that was the time.
Hindsight is always 20/20.
That's correct.
As Smith gets it back from Flores. Flores now goes upline. Smith going upline now. Good defense there from Montenegro.
This seems to be a game plan right here.
As now Smith and Flores have worked themselves all the way over to the far side. And now coming back the other way, it's Pendleton. That's her 3rd goal of the day.
Scoring machine out there.
Goal of the day makes it 8-3 DC.
8-3 DC as Coach John Agan
Reminder everyone that we have the Pride
high-fiving his team as the Shadow held on their 3rd chance.
That was actually an important hold for them.
Yeah, big swing there, possibly coming down to a 3-goal deficit if the Monarchs could have punched that in, but instead maintaining their lead and pushing it to 5 as we are just over 2 minutes into this second quarter. Very good crowd here in DC for the Shadow. Final home game. Their 3rd of 3 on the year, and all around it's been a great turnout for all 3 of those games for the Shadow.
It really has. It really has.
Definitely gotten lucky with some of the weather. I remember the first game that we did. We were we were saying how nice the conditions were. So.
Mm-hmm. And today the forecast was much worse than this.
It was
originally.
Yeah, I was out this morning and had a practice that got delayed by lightning, as well as some of the other PUL games around the league.
Yeah, a big system
with delays.
A big system went through, but
we are knocking on wood here, as Caitlin Murphy's Monarch squad now working it up. Now about 20 yards out.
A big gainer there.
And shooting to the end zone, just too far for Pruka.
Just a bit too long. That was good offense. Some big gainers. Monarch cutters working very hard to get those gainers.
What do you think's stopping the Monarchs? Because they have worked it up, and their offense has looked pretty good at times. What's preventing them from getting over that hump and punching them in?
I think they are just a tiny bit hasty in their offense, probably because the shadow defense is so good and strong, and so you feel the need to rush it a little bit. But if they can just hold that a little bit longer, oh, that was a good spot.
A nicely weighted pass from Schrader. Finds Bollinger, and now the hammer going up, and deflected goal. And that is J.J. Jarek, who emphatically kick spikes that one as she comes down with the hammer from Pruka, I believe.
Big celebration with the defense catching up, too.
Yeah, so Cammie Groom, one of the all-time great defenders in the area, got a hand on that one, but it wasn't enough to keep J.J. Jarek out of the end zone. And I will shout out J.J. Jarek, a University of Michigan alum.
Oh.
Just like myself.
Apparently a huge fan of the WNBA.
And Zumba.
And
I
Zumba.
hear as well. And plays for Chicago Nemesis, as well as many other players on this Monarch squad. So 8-4. So far, trading holds in this second quarter. Milwaukee may be starting to settle in a little bit, although that was definitely a big play.
They got a little gift with a return from Shadow, and they decided not to give it back to them, which was good for them.
8:13 left.
A break would be nice.
In the second quarter, Milwaukee looking for their first break of the day as another big pull.
Milwaukee looking a lot better in the second quarter.
Yeah, it was 7-2 after that first quarter, so far with the slight edge, although they started on offense. As now Wallace up to Ritzman, flips it over to Smith.
Shadow using space very well.
And
big movements from the cutters.
And just like that, Smalling on the doorstep, and now Wallace. Pendleton is again free in the end zone. Will they find her? Now they come back the other way for Flores. And a good switch there between Montenegro and Lang as this Flores backhand goes up and it finds the waiting hands of Kat Ritzman. And an easy hold there from Shadow. 9-4 DC.
Very nice tempo on that offense. They look, they swing, they look, they swing, making it very hard for the downfield defense to keep up. And that was maybe the fourth swing, I would say. And an easy shot into the end zone.
And they're playing with pace, but they don't look rushed. And
No.
I think that's the key. That's what the DC coaches were kind of talking to us before the game. They really want to play their system. I believe the word that
Discipline was the word.
it was principally disciplined was the word that they used. So that was a pretty principally disciplined point, I would say.
Yes. I think coach approved.
I'll take blue sky. If you have blue sky, if you have Facebook,
7.5 minutes left in the first half. Both teams' offenses holding so far in the second quarter.
Instagram, boom, show me your following.
As Monarchs will start it off, centering to Kat Chen. And now over to Anna Thorne. Back to Chen. Anna Thorne.
Nice little lefty backhand there.
As Schmidt looking deep, but good defense there by the Shadow, staying on top of those deep cutters when Schmidt has it. As this layout attempt goes off the hands of Annie Shriver. Shriver played with Lexington Sprocket last year, came second in the club mixed division as Gentilette just inches away from bringing that one in. It looks like we will have a foul on the throw, so that will come back barring this discussion. believe it's uncontested. It's always tough as a mark. When you hit the thrower, you kind of know it, and there's not much you can do about it. You know, it's pretty much always a foul on the mark. As DC gets another chance with it. Now Graham Cunningham throws the inside flick to Lori. Lori thought about shooting it to Gentilette, which we feel like is coming up every time.
Everyone wants to throw it.
And Amanda Murphy shooting to the end zone, laying out and grabbing it.
Yes.
Is Jackie Wong.
Big fan in the stands there.
Incredible layout score. Jackie Wong brings it
As
to
DC breaks,
10.
10-4 the score.
Against the Monarchs at 4.
And Jackie Wong, one of the newest board members of WAFC, the Washington Area
That's right.
Frisbee Club. So, and what a layout there. I mean, beautiful camera shot. Just full extension, inches from the ground. Maybe not even inches, maybe less than an inch.
Yes. That's got to feel good. She's a very tenacious player. Giving up is not in her vocabulary.
She certainly did not give up on that disc and gets the first break of the second quarter.
One of the defensive things that Coach John Agan was mentioning, that they're working on working their mark to create turnovers, making the other offense more difficult.
Yeah, starting the defensive pressure at the mark spot.
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting perspective, but definitely we're seeing the Shadow capitalize on that as they look to break on back-to-back points. Milwaukee picking up the disc. PJ with it. Inside flick, scooped up there.
Scooped up from the ground.
It looks like no argument. And then a bobbled catch. Big fakes there from Chelsea Tuig. And now French into the middle for Annika Vermaak. And a big layout from French.
Big layout.
A lot of big catches here from the Monarchs as the Shadow defense continues to apply pressure. Now near side for Chesner. Chesner inside flick, another tight window.
Oof.
And another scooped catch. This one looks like there was a slight discussion, but observer called it up. And we play on.
Oof.
Another acrobatic catch. Fake the push pass there and tosses it into the end zone for a score.
Interesting move. I have not seen that.
That's Cassie Duty bringing it in.
Using her PhD brains.
Ooh, nice look there.
That was
you saw the observer, though, in our shot beautifully, pointing it up immediately.
That was a lot of acrobatic catches from Milwaukee. They really, really earned that.
And they needed all of them as they hold to cut the lead to 5, 10-5 DC.
There's a lot of good energy.
Here's another look at that. That's a close one. Montenegro going down and scooping that one.
They've also done a really good job of catching bobbly kind of throws. The Monarchs, that is. Like, they're showing their athleticism in making those tough catches, even when it's deflected or bobbled, self-bobbled.
Yeah, that point coming down with a lot of those 50-50 balls.
Mm-hmm. Which sometimes you have to do when you play a team like Shadow.
So it'll be Vermaak again on the pole for the Monarchs. Unleashes this one.
It's a nice pull.
And up to Smalling.
Great around.
Pendleton resets for Smalling. Shadow stack getting a little deep, but Flores isolated, makes the diving catch and saves possession.
Nice catch.
Flores again in her first year with the Shadow, but been one of their most productive players. Earlier had a game where she had 7 assists. and is first on the team in assists, tied first in the entire league as she continues to work here with Harris. Harris back to Flores. Finally some stagnation from DC.
The stack and the handlers are a little bit separated at the moment.
Might have been why a pick was caused there. And now near side for Wallace.
Very patient with the disc. Bringing out that discipline we're talking about.
Bending but not breaking is the Monarchs defense. Smalling to Flores. Flores, will she get another assist? Looking for it, but resets to Smith. Again, Shadow been within 5 yards of the end zone for several passes now, and there it is. Smith flips it into the end zone for Smalling, and Shadow forced to work pretty hard, but gets the clean hold there.
Looks like they were very much working on their end zone system there.
As that brings the score to 11-5. DC. 3 minutes, 8 seconds left in the first quarter.
DC starting to pull away a little bit. Monarchs need to stay with it.
With 3 minutes towards halftime.
The DC handler's making very big movements to move the disc, which I think, again, makes it harder for the defense to really stay because they're not static. They're being very dynamic in their movements.
And it looks like another focus for DC is to not keep it on the sideline for too long, getting those quick swings.
Yes, the resets have come early. And it looks like since everybody's doing it, it's very much a team effort to do that. Which, of course, makes it easier for the downfield to cut.
Everything working in tandem so far for the Shadow as they get prepared for making another run at the championship next week, as this deep throw is up and just out of the hands.
Oh.
That was a very interesting play there as Amanda Murphy, as the shot comes up from Claire Schmidt, Amanda Murphy was trailing just behind, laid out, didn't quite get it, and then the Milwaukee Monarchs player laid out, looked like she had it in her hands, but then the ground forced it out.
I think she had gone with her left hand, she would have gotten it. The right hand was a very hard catch.
So high tempo offense so far from the Shadow. Jackie Wong, inside flick to Amanda Murphy. Thought about sending it long, but resets to Wong. Another inside flick, this time up to Walker. And Wong going every other, but that throw a little too low, and Monarchs have another chance to punch this in.
The plan was good. It was just a misexecution. Plan was good.
J.J. Jarek up the sideline to Anna Thorne. As
Oh,
this
nice
deep
catch.
shot is up, but it looks like it's coming back because a timeout was called
Oh, unfortunate.
by the Monarchs.
Another PUL rule where the sideline can call a timeout.
And you can see Grace Fian, who was on the receiving end of that throw, smiling, but
Very disappointed.
disappointed that she wasn't able to.
That was a great
that
catch by her
It was.
because it was coming in with a little bit of mustard.
So taking another look at that first shot. Yeah, you can see.
Yeah. In the hand and out. I think she reached with this hand.
And by this hand, Asako means the left
Left
hand,
hand.
as she's demonstrating up here in the booth.
She
I
tried to
know.
corral it with the right, but it was the spin makes it hard.
So timeout from Milwaukee as they try to punch in this hold. But again, we're down to 1:28 left in the second half, and I don't believe they had used a timeout yet, so DC also with 2 timeouts left.
So strategically, it's important for Milwaukee to maintain possession here. Either score very quickly or maintain possession.
So it'll be Anna Thorne initiating possession for the Monarchs. Anna Thorne, born in the UK, and has both U.S. and Argentinian citizenship. An interesting note.
It looks like the Monarchs have come in with another line.
Yeah, maybe
Is that right?
they maybe have made a few substitutions.
right,
Claire
few
Schmidt's still out there. And Anna Thorne. Again, this was an offensive point for the Monarchs. And back in play we are. Anna Thorne, some big fakes. Resets to Kat Chen. Kat Chen, high backhand, and grabbed there by Grace Fian. And now Claire Schmidt shooting deep. This one looks good. Looking for J.J. Jarek, and she comes down with it. Claire Schmidt to J.J. Jarek.
There's another athletic catch there in the middle.
And Schmidt showing that she can do it with both her flick and backhand huck. As Jarek gets her second goal of the night.
Number 55, Grace Freehan, got her revenge for the missed catch by making another good catch there in the middle.
And the timeout works out as Milwaukee does punch in that score. So 1 minute, 7 seconds left. Again, just like the first quarter, once the clock hits 0, the team with possession can finish that point, or that possession out.
Right, so Milwaukee has 1 minute, a chance of 1 minute to get a break, or rather a turnover, and then turn it into a break.
And on the DC side, it'll be the backfield of Smalling and Smith and Flores, who have been working very well together.
With the scoring machine, Maggie Pendleton out there again.
Another pull lands just in bounds. But Smalling able to get it centered and gets it right back. Far side for Ritzman. Smith to Smalling.
Monarchs also trying a little bit of a staying in the lanes. Annika Vermack there staying in the lanes to try to prevent big gainers.
And looks like a possible forced middle as well. So that could be causing some of the stagnation, or at least some flat marks. As Shadow has been content to work it, and that is a miscommunication. And just like that, with 10 seconds left, Milwaukee gets it back, and they will, as the clock hits 0, they will have the last possession. As Sydney French didn't realize where the sideline was, and unfortunate way to end the half.
That was very unfortunate.
As there is a bit of a break in the painted sideline. Oh, but looks like a timeout might have been called by Milwaukee, saving possession.
That was a fortunate, prescient call from the coach.
Yeah, so the observers helping us out here. So that before that throw went up, a timeout was called by the Monarchs. And so they will have the disc with 1 chance left. Again, if they turn it over, that will end the half. But they will have this last chance as Caitlin Murphy of the Monarchs giving her team some instruction. Again, with time not a factor, what would you be telling your squad? How are you getting them to punch this break in?
I think again, going back to what they were saying, they have to really, really use their legs to use the whole field and get open and force the shadow defenders to get back to you rather than staying in the lane and making the offense stagnant.
So there's, on the other side, Coach John Agan talking to his squad. It looks like DC did make some substitutions, so they will have a new line coming in to play defense. Even though they don't have that prototypical O-line, D-line.
No. It is indeed a new line coming in.
So,
which makes sense for defense. You want fresh legs.
Yeah, absolutely, after right at the end of the half. So it will be Lena Montenegro putting this into play for
It looks like a
Milwaukee.
spread isolation type of offense there.
Initiating look was for French. She couldn't get open. But now, tight defense from Amanda Murphy. And Montenegro staying calm. Fian resets.
What's that sideline again?
And the lefty D there by Ellen Mueller. And that will be a walk-off D for this first half. Great handler defense there as we take another look.
It's a no-look. So no-look left-hand defense. Great job, Ellen Mueller.
And Mueller gets her 6th block of the year. And that sends us, 2 blocks today, so 7 blocks on the year as the Shadow take an 11-6 lead. Our sideline reporter, Ariel, will be joined by a representative of the DC Shadow momentarily.
Assistant Coach Lane.
A beautiful night here. Fans of all ages out here at Carlini Field. And we will be sending it down to Ariel for this halftime interview. Ariel, take it away.
Hi, my name is Ariel Vogel. I'm here with Lane Young, one of the coaches for the DC Shadow. Lane, how are you feeling about tonight's game?
I think we came out with a lot of intensity, and I think that we are controlling the tempo of the game, and I think those are some of the things that we were really looking for when we were talking at the at the start of this game tonight.
Heck yeah. It's definitely showing in the scoreboard. What are you hoping to tackle in the second half?
I really think we want to keep in mind the things that we can control. We want to keep looking for our progressions. We want to keep the intensity up on defense. We are, trying to stay really present in this game, and making sure that we treat our opponents with respect and take every throw seriously.
Absolutely. And this is your guys' final home game, and you're celebrating because it's June with Pride Night. I hear that you designed the shirts that you guys were wearing for warm-ups. Anything you want to say about that?
I think one of the biggest things about Pride is standing up for your community, and so wherever you are, you can always look to the people who are closest to you and make sure that you're supporting them.
Sweet. Thank you, Lane. Happy Pride.
Thank you very much, Ariel, and thank you, Lane, for joining us. DC takes the first half 11-6. A lot more here on the nightcap of this final Saturday of the PUL regular season. Stay with us here at Carlini Field.
Let's go. Let's go.
Hi, this is Ariel, and I'm back with Milwaukee Monarchs head coach Caitlin Murphy. How you feeling about tonight?
Tonight, really, it's beautiful. So I'm really excited. I think so far it could be going a little bit better score-wise, but I'm actually really proud. We're like really short-staffed We have a smaller roster, which obviously pros and cons. But so far it's halftime, so feeling really good about the next half, and especially the sun has gone down, so I think that really helps physically. Yeah.
You guys got a lot of pretty key stops there in the latter half of the first half. What are you looking to do in the second half?
Yeah, I think more second quarter is what we're looking for. I'm really proud of the way that they're playing defense, and even when there's a turn, the way that they're kind of like to the last stop, right? Like trying to generate turns and be mindful about how to conserve energy and also be explosive when it's needed. But I think especially defensively, we're definitely looking to replicate the second quarter more than the first. Yeah,
absolutely. And this is your guys' last game of the season. What kind of goals do you have for the team, for the culture?
Yeah, I always tell them my goal is always to leave feeling really proud, and I think it's hard to have your last game be away, but I'm really proud of them. I think it's been a grind of a season. We've had a lot of heartbreakers, and I think yeah, it's a beautiful night. So I think it's a gift to be out here. This crowd is amazing. The setting is amazing. The field's really great, and everyone's been really wonderful. So I guess goals-wise, we're just looking to have a good time and really be proud of how we showed up.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, thank you for making the trek down to D.C.
Yeah, thanks so much. Thanks, both of you. Really appreciate it. Cheers.
And back to the booth.
You can still go up to the concourse.
Thank you very much, Ariel. Thank you, Caitlin Murphy, head coach of the Milwaukee Monarchs, for joining us. Caitlin Murphy, been around the Wisconsin Ultimate area for a while, attended the University of Wisconsin as a player, and has also played for Madison Noise, so has been a teammate with many of these players, and now is coaching them at the professional level. So thank you very much, and we are just getting ready to start this second half. DC, an 11-6 lead, heading into the third quarter. Asako, what are some of the things that you're looking for from each of these teams in the second half?
I think for Shadow, they have a job ahead of us in the championship. So they need to really be disciplined, as Coach says, and cut down on their turns, unforced errors. I do feel like there's been a couple of unforced errors that they could probably rein in and maybe work their system like they're trying to do it here. It looks like the movements are very planned and clean, and the separation is clear when they throw it. No risky throws.
Good possession so far for the Shadow.
Yep, they've gone into their end zone system now.
As Pendleton in the reset space with Tyler Smith to Julia Harris. Smith gets it back. Some switches from the Monarchs defense. Flores, the assist machine, just kind of waits in the middle there, looks for Smalling, and that's just out of the grasp of Smalling. She was open, maybe didn't know exactly what angle, whether to angle it back to try to get a goal or what, as that break chance goes quickly back the other way, and Tyler Smith will pick up. So on the Monarch side, what kind of things do you think you'd be looking for them in the second half?
For the Monarch side,
as this big hug goes up, Smith looking for a wide open Flores, and that will be an opening goal for the Shadow. 12-6. Sorry, continue.
So no. This is when I think for the Monarchs it was a little bit of a missed opportunity. The throw was not, idea of the throw was good, but I think it stayed in the air so long that the receiver wasn't sure if defenders were coming to cover her, and so she had to jump early to go and get it, and it was a turn. So I think not wasting those opportunities when Shadow actually gives them an opportunity is critical for the Milwaukee team to feel like they're doing their best.
So Tyler Smith, second assist on the night to go along with a goal. As the Shadow back up to a 6-point lead, matches their largest lead of the game. And the dynamic duo of Flores and Smith been a big part of that specific Shadow line and their success so far. As first look at the Shadow defense, Annalise Peters on the pole.
The sun starts to set over Carlini Stadium. Sometimes the transition light can be a little tricky.
Yeah, we do have lights up above here at Carlini Field, but artificial lighting, very different from natural lighting, as Claire Schmidt shoots this lovely weighted flick huck, and Pruka brings it down.
Nicely into space. This is where they need to settle down a little bit and not rush their throws.
And just like that, Schrader into the end zone.
Oof.
And Twinkle Toes bringing it in there for Milwaukee.
That has been a tricky corner for both teams.
That's Caitlin Duffner. Wow,
Ooh.
you can see how close her toe was to that.
Inches.
But our observer there with a perfect look at it and makes the right call as Schrader releases another assist.
A clean hold for them.
Yep, to go along with their team leading assist in this game, as Duffner happy to bring that one in. Milwaukee's first goal of the second half, and her second of the game.
Big smiles.
How could you not be smiling on this beautiful night for Ultimate, huh?
Especially when you've scored.
That's always a plus. 10 minutes even on the clock.
Be nice for the Monarchs to get another break.
As the designated puller, Annika Vermaak, with another
It's a nice
deep
pull.
pull. But Shadow quickly gets it up as this Smalling, Smith, and Flores-led line appears to be taking maybe some more of those offensive chances. Has a beautiful D there, cutting in front of the Shadow offender. And just like that, the huck goes up. It's Wallace versus Beckett, and Beckett comes back to it. Monarchs on the doorstep of their first break of the game. And French shooting the flick over to the other side, and
Very
Brian.
nice. Another kick celebration.
J.J. Jarek brings in the break for Milwaukee. Has another look at this great D. I was for sure that Allie Wallace was going to bring that in, but out of nowhere came Beckett.
A double layout block.
And then French does the finishing duties of tossing that in for J.J. Jarek.
JJ somehow getting magically open on the other side.
Second goal of the night for Jarek. Third goal of the night, excuse me. Been all over. 3 of the 8 goals for Milwaukee on J.J. Jarek's stat sheet.
She's demanding a reward.
So Milwaukee with a break to bring the score back to within 4. And now Claire Schmidt awaiting to pull for the Monarchs as we see a new line for the DC Shadow. That pull goes out of bounds, so the Shadow will take possession in the middle of the field with 9 minutes left in the third quarter. And we're at that point where Milwaukee, if they get another break or two, they're right in this game. But if Shadow can kind of stifle this momentum, they can open that back up to 6-7 goal lead.
That's right.
Possibly a turning point here in the middle of this third quarter.
Let's see Shadow work their system.
Wong gets it back from Murphy. Murphy busts deep. Wong shoots it. And coming over to help is Schrader, but Murphy goes up and grabs it. And now working every other in the end zone set. Murphy didn't have a mark for a while. Now over to Cunningham. Cunningham fakes the flick, then fakes the backhand. Gets it back from Laurie. And now puts it ahead of Lori. Lori lays out, can't get it, and it's too short
right
for Jackie
in between,
Wong.
right in between the two of them.
So another break chance here for Milwaukee. It'll be started by Claire Schmidt. French getting up to a high stall. Finds Schrader. Exactly who you want the disc to be in the hands of. Now far side, and now a Huck goes up looking for French. Cunningham on the chase, and French brings it down a couple yards out of the end zone. Dishes it back for Montenegro. Being patient without a mark. Now Beans. Amanda Murphy sets the mark. Milwaukee, can they punch in a second consecutive break? High stall here. Flips it to Montenegro. Montenegro was shooting it for Pruka, and it was Gentilette on the defense, and a foul is being called on that cut. What did you see there, Osako?
I did not see a foul, but I'm not sure if I think she was saying that there might have been excessive contact.
So we take another look.
Yeah, let's take another look. Oh, and the throw came after the call, I believe.
So Pruka was cutting up line. Gentilette was in that space.
Mm-hmm. And I think the thrower didn't hear the call and threw it, thinking that Peruka would be there.
And you saw it just there. The observer ruled no foul, so the disc will go back to the shadow. Or unless, yeah, looks like they did rule. I guess because the observer ruled no foul. The question was it before or after the throw? Looks like they will rule that the throw will stand and it will be a turnover. So the shadow coming back the other way. Mueller dishes for Wong. Quick movement here. Wong continuing deep. A lot of shadow players cutting deep now.
Mm-hmm.
Mueller gets it from Walker. Far side for Lori. And a pick is called.
Oof. That middle gets a little bit crowded sometimes.
The shadow really likes those kind of cutbacks to the middle once they get it on the sideline.
Mm-hmm.
But now about 20 yards out of the end zone. And too far there.
Just a little bit too far.
Milwaukee with another chance to get their second consecutive break.
Just off the fingertips.
Overall, a lot better energy from the Monarchs we're feeling, I feel like, in this.
Yes.
It started in that second quarter,
Mm-hmm.
but continuing into this third. Because they've actually.
Wide open.
They're winning the game by 1 since the first quarter.
That's right.
As Schmidt shoots deep and just over the head of the intended receiver. That was a tough, low huck to read the exact height of. And shadow coming back the other way. This point starting to feel more and more important. And a timeout will be called. Marge Walker making the quote-unquote veteran call.
There was some nice defense by Milwaukee in the middle there that I think pushed Walker to take that timeout call. It's this nice catch by Amanda.
Yeah, that's a great catch there over Schrader.
Oh, off the fingertips. This was also a great catch. Graham is no slouch on those high balls, so.
So after all of that, it'll be the shadow out on offense, and it looks like both teams will get mostly new legs in there.
That was a very athletic.
Can't blame them.
That was a very athletic point with multiple layouts.
So I do see Pruka staying on the field for the Monarchs, but looks like completely new line for the shadow.
big gainers. Cutters making big movements.
Smalling over to Smith. Pendleton makes the butterfly cut, but Smith goes to Ritzman in the middle. And now Smalling from Ritzman. Back to Smalling.
Nice around.
Gets it off the sideline. Smith
other
extends
side.
for that one and tosses it in for who else? Maggie Pendleton brings it in, and the Shadow come on top after that marathon point.
That was where they really stuck to their system.
Principally disciplined.
That's correct.
So the swing from Smalling to Flores, Flores to Smith, and Smith to Pendleton.
Maggie Pendleton's cut coming in with perfect timing.
That 4 goals on the night for Pendleton. Four of the 13 goals. So nearly a third.
That's a lot.
4:44 left in the third quarter. As the natural light fades and the Carlini Field lights appear brighter. Milwaukee standing on the line trying to hold and bring this game back to within 4. Shadow trying to extend their lead back to 6.
Sounds like Claire Trope is making her voice heard, but she's not wearing a jersey, so I think maybe she's on reserve.
I haven't seen the World Games team member tonight. And we know we won't see her at championship weekend, unfortunately, because she'll be across the pond.
That's right, at London Invite.
Which would be a great tournament as well. I was actually there last year as an observer. I just happened to be in the area, you know.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. It certainly didn't have the World Games flavor that this year does. As
Oh,
speaking of World Games, Cami Groom.
Taken away by Cami Groom.
And Onoe up to Groom. Groom flips the backhand high for Sorensen, who brings it down with the casual leap. And just like that, a quick break from DC. Lead is back up to 6.
Such a thief with the disc. So how many teams go to London Invite?
I believe it's a fairly small tournament.
That's what I thought.
Somewhere in the realm of 8, 10, 12 teams.
Mhm.
And I believe I think there's 5 World Games teams that are going out of the 8 World Games teams this year. So it's really going to be a great tune-up to see how those teams match up with each other come the World Games, which is happening in Chengdu, China in August.
I'm sure the coach is like, how much of our hand do we show? How hard? But it's a great opportunity for the players to develop some chemistry and under pressure. The American team recently played Shame in Colorado.
Yes.
I heard it was a good game.
Yep, from what I heard, the U.S. took that over Shame 15-10.
Mm-hmm.
Shame, one of the perennial powerhouses in the mixed division.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of those World Games participants not coming from mixed backgrounds primarily.
Right.
So a very interesting battle as Milwaukee was facing a bit of a junk there from the DC defense, and it works out, causes the turnover, and back the other way come the Shadow. Cunningham to Laurie. Laurie shooting it for Gentilette, and there it is. The connection that we saw be so potent in that Raleigh game connects for the first time tonight. And DC with another break, their largest lead of the game, 15-8 Shadow.
That's a beautiful throw. Right to the break side.
Doesn't get much better than that.
That was a nice celebration, too. That took some skill.
Lizzie Laurie gets her first assist of the day, and her second of the year to go along with 6 assists.
It's a sign of how strong the team is that Lizzie has so few assists. It's almost surprising.
It's again, throughout the whole team, there's not a whole lot of huge numbers. I mean, there are some, Flores coming into the game with 18 assists, and Gentilette, actually the only player on the team with a double-double entering tonight, 12 goals, 10 assists, to go along with 7 hockey assists and 9 blocks. Gentilette, one of 4 players with over 1,000 receiving yards on the season.
Such a dangerous
and
player.
Also the only player with 7 or more of each of those 4 stats that I said. So been everywhere for the Shadow this year, as well
also,
as every year, because
never missed a game.
Never missed a game. Yep, we're knocking on wood.
Famously.
Other players with 1,000 receiving yards in the league: Ella Youngst from the New York Gridlock,
Okay.
Emma Peoria from Minnesota, and Becca Henley from Nashville.
Okay. Oh, nice catch.
On the sideline. And now Groom working with Sorensen. They've been
It's a pick call.
working together well as a pick call in the middle. Stops play. DC trying to get their 3rd consecutive break. Responding to a mini run from Milwaukee when Milwaukee broke to make it 8-12. Has Groom up to Sorensen.
It was a nice touch throw by Groom.
Now Kyver getting her first touch of the day, and it results in an assist over to Romero Pena. DC Shadow punches in the break, 16-8.
New people getting on the stat sheet. Gotta like that as a team.
Romero Pena bringing in the goal there. 5th goal of the year. Also has a block on the day.
Tara and I are part of a puppy club. We both have puppies, so sometimes we text each other about our challenges of owning a energetic large puppy. With some
I think you made her laugh just then.
Yes.
So 2 minutes, 7 seconds here in the 3rd quarter. Milwaukee trying to stop a bit of the bleeding here.
Yep. Got to get back on the board. Let's see what defense DC is coming out with. It's looking a little zony now.
Yep, they've been doing this the last couple of D points, experimenting a little bit. Looks like maybe now trying to
Nice find.
crumble, but that is Pruka left open. Pruka unleashes a giant hammer, crossfield, and brought in by Anna Thorne. What a throw.
Emphatically breaking the zone. It is a very quiet night for wind.
I mean, that was, only about 20 yards of vertical distance, but this literally went from sideline to sideline. It's a very, very far throw.
It was a statement hammer. Very nice.
And Pruka, the native of, sorry, go ahead.
No. That's the kind of play that also lifts your team. So it's important for the Monarchs right now to keep the energy up.
Yes. So that's the 2nd assist on the day for Pruka. Brings her up to 4 on the year, to going along with 7 goals, 9 hockey assists, and 3 blocks. Pruka plays for club team Noise and is a native of Franklin, Wisconsin. And this little fact I'll throw in there is Franklin is actually the 3rd most common city name in the U.S.
Oh.
35 across the country.
Wow.
First is Washington, actually, with 88. and second is Springfield with 41. So, but Franklin, Wisconsin, not to be confused with all those other Franklins out there.
All
That
those
is
other
where
Franklins. Nice
Pruka
defense.
is from. Smalling working
Nice.
hard to get into the handler space, and just like that, good handler defense from Milwaukee, and they have a break
Yes.
chance.
That was very strong defense.
Just over a minute left. French shoots this up and brought in by Beckett. Beckett resets for Tuhig. Tuhig over to PJ. PJ into the end zone, and the head spike from Lena Montenegro. The Monarchs break back.
That was a strong point for Monarchs.
And the pace with which they picked that disc up off the ground and punched in the break, only about 20 seconds went off the clock, so left themselves with enough time to even get another chance.
Yeah.
If they can get a turnover here before the clock hits 0.
That's right. When you're trailing like this, time is very important. That was the strong handler defense that that the coach was talking about right there.
Yeah, we don't often see Tyler Smith and Sammy Smalling, such a dynamic duo in the backfield,
Stifled like that.
stifled like that. Very impressive defense from Milwaukee.
And a great learning moment for Shadow.
And they will send that that same group back out there as Smith, Smalling,
To work it out.
and Flores. As it was a fairly quick break. So clock ticking down now, 50 seconds left. Smith, this time, easily finds Smalling.
Although the first swing was a little bit hesitantly aborted, so
Now no reset for Smalling, and forces a tough throw, and Milwaukee with the disc, 30 seconds left. Break chance.
they need to take their time here.
Schrader. Now back to Duffner. Lots of space here for Ballinger.
Oof.
Ballinger to Pruka. Pruka to Schrader. Schrader, and great help D there by Wallace. Wallace was guarding Pruka there and just read the eyes of Schrader, dropped back, and forced that turnover. And I believe they're ruling that that happened before the clock hit 0, so DC will get the last possession.
It looked like there was 3 seconds left.
So time not a factor anymore. Tyler Smith to Kira Flores. Monarchs with sitting a player deep of the stack as Wallace exploits that poach and comes under to the far side. And some unmarked players as the Monarchs really not wanting the Shadow to punch this in quickly.
They're doing their best to kind of gum up the lanes a little bit.
Both lines.
There's really not been much of a mark up until now.
Ritzman flips this in, and Flores brings it down on the receiving side of a goal for the first time tonight. And Flores brings it in. Lovely little flip here from Ritzman.
Nice to be a lefty.
So that will be the end of the third quarter. Shadow retakes their 7-point lead. 17-10 is our score at the end of the third quarter as Flores with 2 goals, 2 assists on the night.
It's a little bit of a heartbreaker of a point for the Monarchs there. They had a chance to get 2 breaks in a row.
They did, and yet Shadow punches it in. They take a 7-point lead to the third quarter. 12 minutes left in the regular season here in Carlini Field. Stay with us. We'll bring it all to you right after this. This live broadcast of the Premier Ultimate League is brought to you by Breakmark Ultimate Apparel. Go to breakmark.com to place your next custom team order or check out the PUL Athlete Collab shops. The Discraft Ultrastar is the official disc of the Premier Ultimate League. Discraft, the world leader in disc sports. This live broadcast is brought to you by the Premier Ultimate League. The PUL is a 501c3 C6 nonprofit. This league has been community funded since day one, and we are so grateful for the support. We ask that you consider donating to help us continue to transform and fulfill our mission. Head to premierultimateleague.com to donate today. Carlini Field playing host to this regular season finale for both of these teams. Shadow 12 minutes away from an undefeated regular season.
1 quarter left. 1 quarter left.
And they have been in this situation before. They have made championship weekend before, but they have never gotten over that hump.
Could this be the year?
Only time will tell. About this time next week, we will have a much better idea. We talked to the coaches about what the lead up to that next weekend looks like. Again, they have practice tomorrow, actually. Will be their final practice, official practice of the year. And then they're just going to do some film watching. Again, they will have played the other South representative in Raleigh Radiance, but both North representatives for, to championship weekend, they will have not played. So.
Right, will be the first matchup. First time they match up, I should say. Annalise Peters with the pull.
So a bit of momentum both ways as that Scuba is blocked on the point.
Ooh, point block.
By Romero Pena. Peters picks it up. Now getting to a high stall.
It's a little bit cheeky there.
Finds Onoe. Back to the middle for Dang. Dang gets it back from Onoe. And a miscommunication there. Cammie Groom stopped her undercut. And that allowed Kat Chen to get the block. As Annalise Peters guarding Claire Schmidt. That's a University of Pittsburgh versus University of Chicago matchup. And a foul is called on that matchup. Claire Schmidt doesn't appear to be pleased by that call. What'd you see there, Asako?
Well, Annalise was exactly where Claire meant to go, so there was a little bit of a collision or contact. Annalise Peters, a player I know well, doesn't make a lot of calls, is very spirited, so I'm sure she felt like it was a bit of a push-off rather than a collision.
So it looks like it will be an uncontested call. And Monarchs back off to the races.
Oh, nice catch.
Left-handed grab there.
Way to secure it.
By Duffner. And Schmidt tried to get that skinny little upline. But Peters launches it to Cammie Groom.
Nice
Groom with
shot.
it. To Romero Pena. Looking for Groom. Gets it back. Pointing, directing. Patiently, the Shadow waits. Lisa Dang just getting up to the play now.
The Monarchs trying to stop the offense with a forced middle to try to stop the continues. Oh, nice footwork.
And that will be a goal. Cammie Groom tosses it into end zone. for Sumi Onoe.
That was very good awareness of where the line is.
For a second, I didn't think that throw had a chance of resulting in a goal, as that little skinny up line there doesn't work. And something we may have seen before is Gaming Groom busting deep.
Zoom, zoom. As Sumi decides to just run with the disc rather than catch it, since her defender was way behind her. That was very smart playing on her part.
Balanced stat line for Onoe, a goal, assist, and a block.
She has the whole combination.
You see Claire Trope not playing tonight, but still very involved in the team and their success tonight, as the shadow pull is up from Jackie Wong. Shadow leading 18-10 now.
Graham Cunningham running it down. They're doing another switch junkie zone type defense here.
Yeah, they have Ellen Mueller as the deep.
I like how Shadow is really trying a lot of looks. Nice around.
And the deep shot goes up. A bit of a height disadvantage for Amanda Murphy. And coming down with it is Eileen Beckett.
Again. She's on fire in the end zone.
And we've seen Amanda Murphy in situations like this where, she may have a height disadvantage but still come up with the plays. And so you just were holding your breath seeing if she could come up with something spectacular. But Beckett just a little too large there, and great positioning too from Beckett.
Yes. Very secure hands.
And another very balanced stat line for Beckett, who's been all over the field. Getting some athletic blocks to go along with some offensive production as well.
Beckett made also a very good layout catch in the Surge game, I remember, in the end zone. Making some tough catches for the team.
Beautiful shot of the twilight hour here at Carlini Field as the regular season of this 2025 edition of the Premier Ultimate League is winding down. We do have a couple games tomorrow, so the regular season isn't quite over.
Yeah, big game for Indy.
Yeah, Indy can officially clinch a playoff spot if they do beat New York tomorrow.
But if they do well, there's still a chance. Is that correct?
Yes, because the algorithm, as many of our ultimate community knows, the algorithm
the
is
magical algorithm
is what can decide some of these things.
Magical or cursed, depending on how it turns out.
Smith gets it. The diving Montenegro recovers on the mark. Goal line for Flores. Flores flips it over, and Ritzman gets it in front of Sydney French.
I think Sydney French held back there, which was good. Could have been a dangerous play situation.
And another assist by Flores.
That was the case where if you can reset quickly enough and also break the mark, it's very hard for the Monarchs to maintain that force middle because it's moving so fast that they can't quite get to it. Good, efficient offense from Shadow.
And Ritzman putting together a quietly impressive game as well.
Always such a productive player.
So both teams holding to start this fourth quarter. 19-11, the score. And
Shadow quietly slipping away.
Yeah, it hasn't been huge runs. They did have that run at the end of the third quarter where they had 2 or 3 breaks in a row. But Milwaukee continues to respond and doesn't let this game completely out of their hands. We know
That's
Shadow
right.
have some great results. They
Nice.
won a game by 21 earlier this year. Schmidt working with Chen. Back to Schmidt. And out of nowhere comes Lisa Dang. Numbers now for the Shadow. Dang gets it back, has an open receiver, chooses to holster it, and the reset goes awry for Peters, who will call an injury.
Oof. Hopefully it's just an ankle.
Looks like she does have some tape on that right leg already, and may just
maybe it's a cramp.
May just be cramping. So Peters takes a sub, and it'll be Marge Walker coming on. And
Monarchs get another chance.
Another chance to hold for the Monarchs. A fired flick there, and now the shot goes up. Sorensen battling Pruka, and Pruka wins that battle. 2 players that are great in the air. And now on the doorstep. Fian resets, and a sliding catch. Claire Schmidt fires it in there for Alex Ballinger.
Very nice offense after the turn.
Yeah, nice momentum there on the wheel cut from Claire Schmidt. And all in one motion delivers it for the assist.
Nice birthday present for her mom, who's always been so supportive of Claire's ultimate career.
So lead back to within 7 and 7 minutes to go. That's Ballinger's first goal of the day. Ballinger, a native of Gurnee, Illinois, and also a representative from Madison Noise.
It's good for the Monarchs to get back on the board again here.
This is where that momentum, how you finish the season, is really characterized. The final minutes of the season.
That's right.
Right here.
The coach mentioned it as one of team goals, to finish strong.
Smith finds Ritzman. Far side for Smalling. Ritzman just keeps going. And the lefty fakes Smalling, who now comes up line. And now back to the middle for Flores. And another that DC does really great at getting that second swing off after they get it off the sideline.
And having a second reset there available when the first reset's not there. The second comes in nicely.
Flores goes up line, 2 yards out of the end zone, flips it in for Ritzman, and the connection works again. Last time it was Ritzman to Flores. This time Flores to Ritzman.
Yeah, their end zone system working well here. It's very hard to stop a fast handler when they use those small spaces so well. And the other Shadow players are doing a good job so that the other players don't come drifting in to disrupt that system. So you can tell the players are really trying to work the system there.
Principally disciplined.
Principally disciplined.
So 20-12, Shadow lead halfway through the fourth quarter.
Milwaukee Monarchs certainly eager to put another score on the board here.
Schmidt takes a couple extra steps there and scoobers it.
Getting a little
through
cheeky
the zone.
there.
Yeah, we have another zone look from the Shadow. See if they stay in it.
Open people. Oh, stay in.
Close to the sideline.
Oof.
Kept in there by Anna Thorne. Thorne's flick goes into the end zone. And Gentilette was there. I don't know if Gentilette actually touched it, but
that's enough pressure.
Gentilette could have added to her team-leading block total, and good for second in the PUL in blocks entering today.
Those are the blocks that don't show up on your stat sheet.
Amanda Murphy shooting a laser beam deep, and just too far for Lizzie Laurie.
It was fast, but really that was a little bit too far. So Monarchs get another chance. Oof, nice catch.
Middle there, Pruka.
Getting a little bit frantic.
Jarek.
You need to settle down a little bit.
And Schmidt coming for that skinny up line that we saw result in a turnover last time. And this time a turnover on the swing. And Gentilette quickly races to that. Fakes the flick. Gets it back to the middle. Laurie, as the Shadow try to get organized here. Laurie shooting it for Gentilette. Could it work again? Yes, it does.
Oh, it's the bookends.
And that celebration again.
She's really good at that.
It's almost like she may have practiced that before.
Mm-hmm. And almost in the same location, although albeit different throw.
So Gentilette able to toe that in off the Laurie assist. Gentilette's second goal of the day.
That's the value of shutting down that first reset. The second reset becomes a must happen, and that's where the Monarchs erred a little bit there on that point.
So Gentilette adds to her team leading goal total as well, now with 14 goals on the year. We will see after this weekend concludes and, you know, the stats all get entered where that ends up in the PUL overall. But just an incredible season from Gentilette.
Such a dangerous player in the end zone, or anywhere on the field, in fact. And just an all-around awesome human being.
Can't ask for much more than that.
Oh, Annalise Peters back on the field, it looks like.
It's a good sign.
That's good to know.
And on the mark, Montenegro flicks it up to French. French shooting it deep, looking for Beckett.
Oh, that's going to work
works.
again.
Sorensen was so close to that.
That was very efficient offense by Milwaukee.
Yeah, and what set that up was a lovely little over-the-top throw, which you see the end of here from Montenegro. That got French with power position and in space.
They certainly have a lot of trust in their teammates and do not hesitate to let those go up.
Third goal of the night for Eileen Beckett, who is told to stay on the field.
Do it again. I'm sure they're saying, do it again. Good to see the smiles. I feel like Milwaukee's playing well. It's just that one mistake that you can't give to a team like Shadow. And Shadow just exploits it when that happens.
So 21-13 DC with the lead in the final regular season matchup for both of these teams.
I do feel like the Monarchs are achieving their goal of finishing strong, though, in this game. The energy's good. The players all have smiles on their faces. Nice inside.
And now Flores with unmarked for a while. Flips it to Julia Harris. Back to Flores. Now over to Allie Wallace. Ritzman into the end zone for Pendleton. And there it is. Pendleton back on the board after a bit of a break from scoring.
A little bit of a respite. She needed to share the wealth. You know, she can't score all the goals after all. Or can she?
So Kat Ritzman with the assist. Pendleton with the goal. 5th goal of the night, I believe.
All smiles.
Yep, there you see it. 5 goals on the night for Pendleton. Just a pure finisher. And a lot of those have come in the end zone set. So
yes.
You can tell she's very good at finding that space, timing those continuation cuts. Because she's not often the one that's getting a lot of those touches, but
no.
is just...
She's a finisher, like you said. Yeah.
And doing that to a T tonight.
Timing it to the swing so that when the swing gets the disc and looks, she's already there making the cut.
How valuable is it to have someone like that on your team?
So valuable. Fun fact, my daughter played with Maggie when she was in graduate school at Tufts. And one of my daughter's favorite targets, of course, in the end zone.
Of course, Asako is talking about the great Leah Schwartz. As the Milwaukee Monarchs working here, but Kat Chen.
Just a little bit far.
A little far.
Valiant effort, though. Valiant effort.
Lisa Dang up to Emily Kiver.
Ooh.
A nice fake from Kiver, and she takes off. But a good switch there.
Yeah, very good switch.
Inside to Peters. Peters flick to Romero Pena, who finishes it to Emily Kiver. And another DC break. A double-digit lead here in the nation's capital. 23-13 Shadow.
2 minutes left.
Beautiful balance there from Romero Pena.
Yes. Again, very quickly getting it to the break side and finding that goal. Working the system.
So under 2.5 minutes to go here in the 4th quarter.
Emily Kiver getting on the stat sheet.
Kiver, Penn State alum.
Been on the team in one role or another for, I think, 2 years, but had some injuries to start and hasn't been playing very much. So it's very good to see her playing now and making some noise.
Yeah, had just played in a couple games in the season because she had a foot injury early, but is now up to 4 goals and an assist on the season.
That's great.
As Milwaukee.
There's a lot of switching going on downfield.
A lot of talk. You can, can hear all the voices as Beckett has it on the near sideline. Beckett this time shooting and coming down with it, and a miscommunication there.
Miscommunication.
And right back. DC gives it right back with a drop. Quickly up to it is Montenegro and flips it in for the Monarch score. That
was a quick series of events.
Chelsea Tuig will get the goal there. Tuig is a a periodontist, which I had to look up today when I saw that. It's, I believe, a special type of dentist that deals
gums.
with gums. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you know more than me. But yes, Chelsea Tuig also believes that Goaltimate is greater than ultimate. So.
Oh, that's a hot take.
Yeah. But anyways, 1:42 left here in the fourth quarter. Milwaukee on the pull.
Yeah, I like the body language and the energy coming out of the Milwaukee team. Just staying positive, playing every point as hard as they can.
Yeah, there was just a general joy from the team when we were down there earlier, and that's just a lot of respect for what the coaches have done and what the players have brought to this team, with the season maybe not going exactly how they would have wanted, and a couple of heartbreakers, but very impressive that they've come out and showed this very positive energy.
Yes, very
so far
much
tonight.
so. Very much so. And with a smaller squad as well. They couldn't, obviously, these PUL teams, when they travel, they can't bring the whole roster. So they're doing really well with a smaller squad.
Yep, against a DC team that's first in the league in point differential.
And a home game.
So they have most of their squad.
Mm-hmm.
Has Ritzman. That throw was a little behind her, and
Tuig.
Milwaukee will have a chance.
Tuig with a D.
So clock will matter here. 45 seconds now.
Right.
As it'll stop here because a timeout looks like has been called.
They're going to need some shooters to come. As per the PUL rules, since this is the final quarter, the buzzer will matter. The time does matter now, not possession. So they only have 46 seconds to finish the point.
So the observers adding a few seconds left, a few seconds to the clock. And you just look at the huddle. This is not something you often see from a team that's down 9 at the end of the game, but they're very intentional about what they're going to do.
Yeah, it looks like it's a universe point. They're playing like it's a universe point, which is how they should be playing. It's really awesome to see. And they put a big thrower with the disc. I wonder what they're going to do.
Yep, it'll be Claire Schmidt picking up the disc once Zach Norbaum there gets off the field.
Jackie Wong on the mark. What kind of mark is she going to do?
It's like taking away that flick from Schmidt, forcing backhand. Now possibly another switch of the force. But taking time here, valuable time, as Schrader shoots the flick deep. 2 shadow players in the area. Oh. And from the backside comes Marge Walker. Will get the D.
The help D.
And just 20 seconds now. Jackie Wong over to pick up. I'm sure Shadow would love to finish this off with a score. And a buzzer beater, because there's nothing much better than that.
That's right.
Gentilette over
6
to
seconds.
Walker. Walker to beat Amanda Murphy. Amanda Murphy shooting it. Ellen Mueller in the area, but it's Schrader that comes down with the disc, and that'll wrap up the 2025 regular season for both of these teams. A spirited game both ways, ending with a couple of nice defensive
Well
plays.
done to both teams. It was a very exciting game to watch with lots of very physical highlights. Nice catches. That was a good D.
As the fans will head down for the high five line, we will be joined with an interview from the Shadow player of the game in just a couple of moments. But just before that, Asako, final thoughts on this this end of the regular season, and maybe thoughts going forward for the Shadow?
Yes, I think for Shadow, we've been here before. So I'm sure all of the team and the coaches are thinking that, and what can we do differently so that this year we chart a different path. The World Games event and U24 event being at the same weekend is somewhat of an unfortunate coincidence, but other teams face that as well. For example, Gridlock, I'm sure, is losing several players. So they just need to regroup and forge a new path in the championship.
And, back first game of the year, we were talking with the Shadow coaches how this is not a new team, but a different team.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe that mentality,
yes.
This is a different season, they can take that into championship weekend next week. So we are joined by our player of the game. Oh, just a moment.
The rookies I think have already changed the shape of the team in many ways, which is great.
So Ariel is with our player of the game, Kira Flores, and take it away, Ariel.
Hi, this is Ariel, and I'm with this game's MVP, Kira Flores. How are you feeling tonight?
Super excited. It was a really great night out here, great weather and great fans, and we were super excited to have our final home game and get a big win against Milwaukee.
Absolutely. You had 4 assists in addition to 2 goals. What was clicking tonight?
I think our offensive timing has really come into shape at the end of the season, and we've really been working on timing, working on our cuts and our fills, and I think it's just all shaping up really nicely as we head into championship weekend.
Nice. Yeah. Any goals, any expectations for championship weekend?
I think we obviously want to win. We've been close in the past couple years, and I think we're really starting to peak at the right time, so getting really excited for it.
Heck yeah, we'll be looking out for you. Thank you so much. Have a great night.
Thank you so much, Ariel, as Kira Flores, our MVP from tonight. But really, we could have given it to so many different Shadow players, getting contributions from across the board.
So true.
And that closes out the regular season. It's been a pleasure working with you, Asako.
Same to you, Thea. Well done through the season.
And we couldn't have done it without our fantastic crew, led by our producer, Jake Bell, and our director, Carl McManus, and all of the camera crew out there, all of the Premier Ultimate League staff that have provided us with all the great information that we use all the time, all those fun facts that I'm saying, all that, those hometowns, all of that comes from the great work that is being done all around the league, and just a great season for the Premier Ultimate League overall.
Yeah. Oh, also shout out to my agency teammates who have volunteered here under some nudging from Scuba.
So with that, the DC Shadow take the final matchup of the regular season by a score of 23-14 over the Milwaukee Monarchs. They close out an undefeated regular season and will head to championship weekend in Madison next week. Thank you so much for joining us here at Carlini Field. We will see you next time. Premier Ultimate League 2025.